Demon Knights number 17, written by Robert Venditti, art by Bernard Chang. So last issue, whole lot of stuff changed, but the big takeaway leaving it was that Horsewoman, Sir Yiston, and Exaristos were sent by an aged Algebir to take on the army of Cain the Vampire, but first they have to make a pit stop and pick up Jason Blood. So yeah, we open up in Hell, where Etrigan is just sitting bored, and Lucifer comes down being like, hey, if it isn't you dickbag, I'm so happy that you've been sealed back here in Hell, and Jason Blood has not called you up to the surface for God knows how long. If only you know that you'd be stuck here in this sort of limbo for eternity where I don't want you, but neither do they. And Etrigan's like, hey, I'm playing the long game just as much as you. You aren't the only one. And he's like, yeah, okay, bye. And Lucifer flies away. And then Etrigan's like, Jason! Let me out, Jason! So then we cut back to Vandal Savage's fortress, where he is keeping Jason Blood hostage and has him mystically muted so he can't summon Etrigan. And he's like, hey, Jason, I have dinner here. Do you want to smell it? I'm sure you're super hungry considering you haven't eaten anything in all that time. Oh, well, I'm going to eat this all by myself. Guards take him back to the dungeon. I'll torture him more tomorrow. And so he is shackled back up. Meanwhile, in Algebir's kingdom, Exaristos and Sir Yiston are basically just talking about the trek they'll have to make to go get Jason Blood. They know where he is. He's inside of Vandal Savage's fortress, but they also know that the army of Cain is coming down rather quickly, so they'll have to move as fast as possible. Meanwhile, Horsewoman arrives, and she comes up on a newly picked out horse, which is a very stocky, tiny little horse. And Algebir's like, oh, I'm sorry, Horsewoman. I told them that you could pick from any of my royal steeds. And Horsewoman's like, I know, I chose this one. His name is Backwedge. And basically what they said is that Horsewoman does not pick a horse for its skill out in the field. He picks them for their personality because she likes talking to them. And Horsewedge was a horse that was next to a mill wheel in the middle of the city. And the stable horses are kind of pompous assholes. And Backwedge is not. And Backwedge literally says, like, you tell him, Sarah. So Exaristos makes fun of the pair of them, saying like, oh, let me know when the horse dies on you and I'll have to drag you behind my horse. And so Backwedge unshackles Exaristos' saddle when she's not paying attention. And as they all ride off, she falls off her horse. And Horsewoman's like, Backwedge, me and you are going to get together just fine. So we cut back to, I guess, the end of the night, and Exaristos comes to Vandal Savage's door and it's like, hey, Vandal, I heard that you had this castle. I'm tired of going at it alone. Mind if I join your force? And he's like, I don't mind, but you'll have to beat me in strength. And so they just start arm wrestling. Meanwhile, Sir Yiston goes down to the dungeon, takes out the guards, and goes to Jason Blood. He's like, hey, Jason, here to save you. Need you to transform into Etrigan. Takes off Jason's muzzle, sees that he is mystically muted, and Sir Yiston's like, oh, okay, new plan then. So cut back to Exaristos and is arm wrestling Vandal. And Vandal's like, hey, did you know I was torturing Jason Blood? I've been doing it God knows how long, but hey, what does it matter to us? We're both immortal. You should join in tonight. I'm going to come up with all brand new ways to torture him. And Sir Yiston gives the signal that they have Jason, so Exaristos is like, hey, remember how I beat that giant horn thing by headbutting it? And Vandal Savage is like, yes, I do. And then Exaristos headbutts him, knocks him out cold. And we see Jason Blood and Sir Yiston jumping off of a wall as they land on Vanguard, Sir Yiston's Pegasus. So at that point, Vandal gets back up, tells the archer to close the gates. And Horsewoman readies her arrow, takes care of the guy closing the gates so they can still escape. And then basically Sir Yiston has to explain, like, yep, the plan is screwed. We need to escape with Jason as a person. So this is the new plan. Let's get out of here. And Horsewoman telepathically communicates with all the horses in the place, saying like, "Hey, I'm not asking you not to ride or not to come after us. I'm just asking you to stay where you are." And as Vandal hops on his horse and says like, "Ride," the horse just lays down, and Vandal's like, "Oh, damn you, horsewoman." So they make their way somewhere in Italy. It's a few days later, and they're following a map that Jason marked out. And Sir Houston kind of gives Asteristos a hard time of like, "Hey, the vampires are marching towards Themyscira, and you're like really protective of that place, but like why? They don't want you back. They exiled you. Like maybe you shouldn't care so much what they think." And she's just like, "Well, the last time you asked me to choose is when we and you went our separate ways, so maybe just shut up." So anyway, they approach this little village, or this little villa where Jason marked on the map, and it's like, okay, well, what are we here for? And all of a sudden, Jason is hit with some magical energy, and we see a hooded figure down at the villa saying like, "You leave, you are not welcome here." And as the hooded figure sees the other people on the horses, she's like, "Oh my god, guys, it's me, it's Xanadu." So this entire thing was just in order to get over to Xanadu. And then meanwhile, an update on Cain and his army. They approach Hungary, and they go into the realm of the bison riders, and Cain is like, "Hey, we're looking for some strong guys in order to help us take Themyscira." And they're like, "Themyscira is just a fisherman's tale. It doesn't actually exist." He's like, "Well, I got an Amazon right here, and she's got a lot to say," as the Amazon bites the bison riders and leaves only the king there. And the king is like, "Oh, the bison riders don't frighten. We'll show you violence." And Cain is like, "Here's the thing. There's only enough room for one king in my army." And he rips off the guy's arms and tells the vampires to go down into the nearby town and bring them a cavalry of bison riders, as we see a bunch of vampires jumping down to do that. Okay. I appreciate that Horsewoman is being given a much larger portion of the story here, because I felt like she was always the one that was shortchanged in all the issues leading up to this. I never felt like we got a good grasp on who she is. And yeah, she's an interesting character. I always suspected she was. I was just waiting for them to give a bit more info on. Telepathic with horses, very specific, but interesting nonetheless. She's also, of course, very kind, and I like the whole brick wedge thing going on. By the way, it is brick wedge. I just mispronounced it like 7 times at the beginning. So yeah, no, it's a good issue. I like how Vandal's being turned pretty much into an antagonist. More so than any other ones, because yeah, Vandal Savage is a bad guy. That's just what he's always been. I like how they're finally just like, no, he fully is. Like, screw him. Obviously, Xanadu was going to join back in. I don't think that was any real surprise there. Art-wise, this book is great. I do want to point out that the only issue I had in the whole thing is when everyone is all hooded up and riding on horseback when they're going to Xanadu's place because it's raining, it's kind of hard to tell who's who just based off of visual clues. I had to pick up via the speech as to who's, because they, at one point when Sir Easton started talking to Exoristas, I couldn't tell if that was Sir Easton or if that was Horsewoman. Eventually I got it, but yeah, that's the only gripe I really have. Overall, this is a great issue. Setting up a new story. I'm always interested in Cain and the vampires, so I'm going to go ahead and give this one I'm going to say 8. I think it's really good. I really do enjoy Demon Knights, and I hope that it goes on for a long, long time and not canceled at issue 23.